Hello and welcome to the Wisepreneurs podcast. My name is Nigel Rawlins and I work with a range of women who are professionals in their field. They're often 50 to 60 years old who want to start their own business. In this podcast, I'll be interviewing a range of guests who will be able to tell you how they've done it themselves, and others who will give you hints and ideas and tips and maybe the confidence you need to go out and start your own business. Today, we're joined by Salina Yeung, a LinkedIn strategy expert who's mastered the art of crafting personal brands that not only captivate audiences, but also turn them into loyal customers. As a former insider at LinkedIn, Salina possesses unique insights, which she generously shares through her blog and social channels. Her expertise quickly became sought after, leading her to establish a thriving coaching and training business. She's transformed countless LinkedIn profiles into powerful lead generators. In our chat, she unveils her proven framework to help you stand out on LinkedIn. I've personally learned so much from my conversation with Salina. She assures that with just 15 minutes of focused effort daily, you can amplify your LinkedIn presence tenfold. So let's dive in together, shall we? Salina, welcome to the Wisepreneurs podcast. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Nigel. I really enjoy your show and I cannot wait to speak to you and your audience about all things LinkedIn. So I'm Salina. I'm the LinkedIn business strategist. I started my business around 3 years ago, obviously in the middle of COVID, who have heard the story so many times. But my stories start a little bit different. So I'm in a long-distance relationship with my family for the longest time. And COVID really made me realize what really matters for my life, what I really want, instead of basically chasing for like a really great six-figure year. So I decided to quit and move back with my family. And the first thing I did is actually finding a new job. So I go around, so I quit my corporate job at LinkedIn. And my mom was actually telling me I'm crazy. Like, what are you doing in the middle of COVID? No one is going to hire you now. Like, you have such a stable job. What are you freaking doing? I was like really sad for like multiple like weeks and even months. So I was like trying to like figure out what I wanted to do in my life. So I start finding jobs because that's the only thing that I know, right? I was like, oh, maybe I find another job in, back in Luxembourg where my husband and my family is. So it's just like, okay, let's figure that out. And like weeks and weeks, I couldn't find a job. I was like, what is it going on? Am I like unemployable now? Like, what is up? So I started to blog about LinkedIn. And I don't even think about, monetizing it at all. So I just like do this blog, sharing all things LinkedIn, how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile, yada, yada, yada. And then the rest is history because that's opened up a couple of doors, especially my old clients coming back to me and say, hey, Salina, I really want you to train my sales team to generate leads using LinkedIn. Please train my sales team. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe I can get something out of it. Like the next day, literally after the call, I was Googling how much should I charge for a workshop like this. So that's how I doubling down on coaching and how the In Academy is born.
That's fantastic. And I think that's one of the things I talk about is having some sort of experience and what we call career capital. And you underestimated that you actually had it.
Yeah.
So you're now in Miami. So what made the shift from Luxembourg to Miami?
Yeah, great questions. I work for LinkedIn and I decided to move back with my family in Luxembourg. I think mostly because of COVID, because they have like crazy rigid rules about like curfew, stuff like that. And I felt like really boxed up. So, and by then my husband is really, really upset about his job. So I'm like trying to teach him how to use LinkedIn to find like better like opportunities as well. And then he found his job with Coinbase very, very quickly. And it allows us to work remotely anywhere. And I was like, I want somewhere warm because Luxembourg had like 9 months of winter. I think we're like doing opposite. Now I miss the winter. But then we're like, oh, why not California? Because I have family there. But obviously California is also like crazy rigid rules when it comes to COVID. So we decided to try Miami. And then now we've been living here for 2 years. We absolutely loved it. Weather is amazing. People was really friendly. So that's why we're in Miami now.
So a great place to live and a great place to work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about LinkedIn. So for my listeners, often they're older professionals and they want to work for themselves or start working for themselves. What should they do with LinkedIn? Because there's so many social media and everyone's saying, get on social media, but who's LinkedIn best for? And what do you suggest that they do?
I cannot love this question more, Nigel. I like that your podcast is called Wisepreneurs, right? I think smart people, wise people will doubling down on areas where they give the maximum value and maximum outcome. And to me, LinkedIn is a no-brainer with 3 nuggets. Number 1 is there's more than 50% of user on this platform is earning more than 100K. So if you're selling a high-ticket program, you want someone to have like financial qualifier, LinkedIn is the best place. You won't have sales objection from Instagram, Facebook, now Meta, or Twitter, X, or TikTok, just like rejecting you for a 3-figure investment, whereas for you to sell a 4 to 5-figure investment is way easier. Number 2, business decision makers are all there on LinkedIn. Why not taking advantage of it? 69% of people on the platform are making decisions, so that's already saving you a lot of time. Last but not the least, of course, my favorite stats to share is there's less than 5% of people are consistently showing up online on LinkedIn sharing their expertise. So it's way easier to dominate on this powerful platform through content than anywhere else, right? So that is like my 3 nuggets of no-brainer to start growing your brand on LinkedIn.
Okay, now that's the interesting point, because the thing about somebody going out to work for themselves is they need to find clients, which we call leads.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things they need to do to establish themselves on LinkedIn? Now, I'm assuming some of them may already be on LinkedIn from, their work history and stuff like that. So how do they make that transition? Some people are working and considering shifting, so they might be able to do something on LinkedIn now to help that transition, or they've already quit and they want to establish themselves. Let's talk about what they need to do.
I love that so much because I literally just wrote a newsletter the other day and I have like a lot of reply to it. So I'm so glad you asked this question. I would actually, if I'm giving myself advice 3 years ago, is to start building an audience despite you don't know what you wanted to do. I know it sounds really crazy because people always like, figure out your niche, what you wanted to do, whether it's like a LinkedIn coach, a business strategist, or whatever that is, leadership coach, whatever that is, right? But what is really important is actually to grow an audience because your audience are transferable no matter where you go. And the most valuable digital currency right now is your personal brand. So if tomorrow I want to sell something else, I can. I totally could if I wanted to and use the same audience. They are transferable. But if you start with like niching down, building your business, building your offer, this shouldn't be the first step. So I would start with that.
That's what I was thinking. That's the big issue for a lot of people is what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So we're talking about posting articles or commenting. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn. I used to put it on my little Wisepreneurs. Nobody noticed it. And then I realized, I can actually do it as myself under my own name. So I publish twice a week. One day on a Wednesday, I write something about knowledge management, just stuff I'm interested in. And on the Friday, I do a business one that I've written about 3 or 4 weeks before in my newsletter. So I don't know what's happening with that at this stage, but I'm just putting it out there to see what happens. Mm-hmm. So what should they be doing? Should they set up their own newsletter, and how do they do that? Or should they have their own little business site on there? And because there's a few things you can actually do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a framework that works all the time really well. And it's exactly like 3 levels. One is really spend time on building a highly converting sales page on LinkedIn. Almost 99% of LinkedIn profiles are boring, generic, very vanilla. They're using it as an online CV. So no one knows exactly what you do except you putting the keywords, winning the SEO, making sure your social selling index score on LinkedIn is about 70%, that will really help you to push your LinkedIn profile further, right? So that is always the very first step that I teach my clients within my personal brand boss, like personal branding, because where is it going to go if you just keep putting content out there? Yeah, you're getting traction to your LinkedIn, but only for a few seconds, people deciding to bounce away. But what we want is capture that, fill your profile up with all the keywords, share with them the pinpoint from the cover photo, call them out, which are your audience, what are the pinpoint. For example, mine is like clients, so they know exactly, oh, if I wanted to use LinkedIn for my business, this is my go-to person, right? And headlines is optimized. A lot of people use the headline very wrong in the sense that they put like, I'm a CEO of a company, especially for people starting out. It's a waste of real estate for me because no one is going to search about your business name right in the get-go, right? So what should be doing is like, you should describe who you are, how you're going to help. So for instance, I help people with using LinkedIn for business. So I branded myself and market myself as LinkedIn business strategist. So when people put it on Google, people is putting on LinkedIn, that's how you and I met, right? And you will find me as an expert in that area. So that is like a really great idea of like me explaining about the SEO. And the best thing about if you do a fantastic job on LinkedIn SEO, you will be discovered on Google as well. For who is actually listening right now, I challenge you to go Google your name right now. I can guarantee you your first 3 search, one of it's LinkedIn. Guarantee. If it's not, come back to me, DM me. There's something wrong about your LinkedIn. Could be because of your visibility. You switch it off as privacy, things like that. So that's why like that's always the first step. So I'm like going too much about the first step. The second step is content. Nigel, I like that you mentioned about newsletter, things like that. I like that you find your perfect medium to start with, which is like a lot of people always missed out. Oh, I want to grow on LinkedIn. Okay, now a carousel is really the best performing post. Okay, then I would do that instead. But they don't realize it's not their strength when it comes to like content specialties. Carousel really do really well when you're amazing in copywriting and at the same time you know how to design, right? But not a lot of people are a designer by trade. So that will be a waste of time if you're squeezing yourself into a best performing post yet you're not performing, right? So I always start with like, what do you like to channel your expertise through? Like for you, Nigel would be like newsletter. Great. You can flex your expertise and people equally want to consume it. And that's the idea of content conversion system, teaching you how to like create content that open hot and wallet guarantee. And then the last level is the fun part, which a lot of people actually start on different channels, social media, not just LinkedIn. Don't start selling right away. You don't even have your profile set up. You don't even have your visibility eyeball system set up. Then all the eyeballs that you drive to your profile is all wasted because they don't know where they're going to the traffic source. Is it to your sales page? Is it booking a sales call with you? Is it to amazing collaboration podcast show like this type, right? They don't know where to go. So that is the 3 levels of how the step-by-step looks like if you want to like use LinkedIn to monetize your expertise.
Wow. What you just pointed out is the difference between a novice and an expert. Because a novice just sees LinkedIn. Oh, well, what do I do? Where do I start? And what you're seeing is the nuances in there. You know, have you got that ticked on? Have you got that written? Are you wasting that? And that's the benefit of expertise that you're offering. And I'm going, oh, golly, I didn't think of all those things. I just go look and do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's important about, you know, what you're helping people with and do that. So tell me, I've noticed on your website, there's a social selling score. What's that?
Yeah, great question. So LinkedIn actually give you a score to tell you how well you're doing on LinkedIn. None of the platform will tell you a not optimized score. So if you literally just Google LinkedIn social selling index score, click on that, it gives you a free sort of report to tell you exactly what are the areas of improvement. So there's 4 pillars. The first one is establishing your LinkedIn professional brand, which is what I talk about in level 1. you're optimizing your LinkedIn appearance, your SEO keywords on your headline, your summary, your work experience, which I teach step by step. I do have a freebies that anybody can download. It's like a checklist that you can optimize your LinkedIn today. So that is pillar 1, which is very easy to get. So there's 25 each pillar to become 100 points. So you can easily get to 20 points if you just have an optimized LinkedIn profile, right? And then the second one is engage with insight. So that is about content, right? That's another pillar that I talk about just now. And then there's 2 more pillars I can't think about on top of my mind, but those are actually related to I remember the last one is building relationship. So which means are you at replying people through DMs? Oh, you post, but did you ghost? Did you reply people with comments? Do you have the conversation? Because ultimately all social media channels are selfish. They want you to stay there for 24/7 because that's how they get brands to pay them for ads, right? So that is the whole idea for you spending time engaging, have conversation, investing time on the platform. So the platform will reward you back to grow further within the realm of LinkedIn. So that is the 4 sort of pillars that you can basically very quickly to increase that. And I would say based on LinkedIn algorithm, if you're anywhere below 70, which means there's a lot of work you can put in to achieve that and hit that 70%. So everything that you do on LinkedIn is fully optimized and it won't hurt your reach when you're posting on LinkedIn.
Wow. I have no idea.
That's fine. That's why I'm here. And if you ask me how to grow an Instagram, I have no idea as well, or TikTok or Twitter. So I'm just I enjoy geeking out with you, all things LinkedIn. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
I think that's fantastic because, again, as I said, I think most of us are novices. We have no idea that there's other things. For example, you're talking about SEO. So are people going on to LinkedIn and searching for things?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 ways of how SEO works on LinkedIn. One big way of doing that is Google, right? When people is trying to find Nigel, I want to learn how to be a better or wiser entrepreneur, right? And then you have Wisepreneurs. Obviously, that's maybe a difficult keyword for people to how to be smart, work smart but not hard, for instance. Then they find you, let's say, right? Then it's along the line of keywords. That's from Google. You will be on top of it. And I like that you mentioned you have already consistently putting week in and week out very valuable newsletter. Newsletter is the best way to build what I call the CEO words behind it. And if anybody is starting out, my big advice for you is start building on LinkedIn rather than building SEO on your website, because an average website takes you around 6 to 9 months to even rank on top of SEO. If you want to start getting some flow, want to validate your offer, want to making sure that's the niche that you want to go for, LinkedIn is really the best place to be. It's completely for free and you will get ranked higher on SEO, just like the challenge that I just shared with you, right? Top 3 result will be your name. So my point is, why not start building on a platform that already help you and reward you with SEO on Google? That's about SEO on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. As part of my business, I look after 18 websites and I do track their SEO. Yeah. And it's the ones with specialized content that people want have a lot of Google visits because I rank Google visits, direct visits. They don't often get LinkedIn visits, but they don't do a lot on LinkedIn. The ones with good, deep content, sometimes maybe 80 articles. I've got one site that gets more than 10,000 visitors a month. But wow. Believe it or not, she probably doesn't like me saying this. Little old lady writing about Australian First Fleet visitors. She gets thousands. She doesn't monetize the site. But you're dead right. It can take a lot of work to get the SEO working. Oh. So it sounds like LinkedIn's a much smarter move for professionals who are shifting to their own business.
Sure. And Nigel, I can guarantee you, if you ask your clients right now today, use the same highest performing article, just basically copy and paste, use the same thing on LinkedIn article, I can guarantee you that they would rank higher on their LinkedIn. People would discover them through it too.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Okay. So I noticed for me to do a newsletter, I think I had to have the professional level. So you know how you've got the free version and then you've got the different ones. So should they pay for upgrading on LinkedIn?
Oh my gosh, I love that because I just did a video about LinkedIn Premium and I broke down there's 4 different ones. I can go on like super long, but it's like a quick 6-minute video for you to decide depending on 2 things. One is obviously your budget because LinkedIn Premium is not cheap. And there's only a few features that could really help you with lead generation. I would say 3 features that is super valuable is when you're using LinkedIn Premium is to find who is actually stalking your LinkedIn profile. If I can say the word stalking, right? People that is like looking at your profile and you can actually open up a conversation with them because those are the warmest prospect that is interested in you. Click on your profile and that will really help you with leads. So go to your budget. If your offer is 10 times of what LinkedIn is charging for your LinkedIn Premium, I would say is worth it. That's my benchmark when it comes to that. The other second great feature for LinkedIn Premium, we're talking about LinkedIn Business Premium, not like Career or a Recruiter or Sales Navigator. Those are the 4 premium packages they offer on LinkedIn. I would say LinkedIn Business is more than enough. DM is another really great benefit that you can basically DM anyone you want, including the 3rd-degree connection. What's the definition of 3rd-degree connection? Nigel, can I use you as an example? So you and I are 1st-degree connection, which is like we are connected on LinkedIn. So let's say, Nigel, you and I know a common friend, but I am not connected with that common friend. Then me and her or me and him, that's a 2nd-degree connection. But let's say 3 of us don't know someone right there. That's a 3rd-degree connection. So it's not touching off any of our professional connecting circle. And that's the 3rd-degree connection. And that's so much value there. And that is why LinkedIn Premium, if you can DM someone from a 3rd connection perspective, that's really, really good. So that is another really helpful feature on LinkedIn Premium. The last one is a special hack that I use it a lot. I think, Nigel, you have been like taking a look of it, is to set up, I call the OOO message. On LinkedIn, it's called the away message. So when you go to your inbox, click the 3 dots, it's set update away message. That's to me is the OOO message, which is the out of office message. And you'll be like, oh, that's nothing. When you have the LinkedIn Premium, imagine everybody trying to like DM you or you adding people, someone just send you stuff. You can put as a marketer message there automatically to send it to somebody. So my message look like something like that. You can steal mine, feel free. Or like, hey, my LinkedIn family. So I only check this twice a day. Inbox gets out of control sometimes. It's true. But if you and I haven't met yet, I love helping entrepreneurs to build a follow-worthy personal brand that converts on LinkedIn. Access my free LinkedIn training here, Salina. And in that way, you can market yourself, but not like super sleazy or salesy. It's just someone is DMing you and they got the marketing message and like instantly they can like, oh, this is what I want. Let me go to her website, check it out. And then that's how I get most of my leads and not being on LinkedIn all the time. So it's like win-win. You don't have a lot of time to manage your inbox. This is the way. So those are the 3 big nuggets when it comes to LinkedIn Premium.
Wow. Again, this is all stuff I didn't know. And I'm sure I've been on LinkedIn for about 5 or 6 years, but you just don't know where to look.
But there's so many amazing gems inside, and I cannot wait to share with you guys everything, you know?
I'm just surprised. I've been learning heaps. I'm going, oh dear, I thought I knew something.
You do. Like you start with your newsletter. That's a big thing already.
Yeah, but can a person have a newsletter if they don't pay for the professional version?
Yes. So you can, yeah. So everybody get all the feature when it comes to the posting format on LinkedIn. So newsletter, all the stuff. The only way you don't see newsletter on your LinkedIn is perhaps you did not switch on the content creator mode. So if you switch that on or switch that off, when you switch that off, then you might not get access to some of the creator features right there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I found that button recently. That's when I realised I could send my newsletter out. See, one of the problems in Australia is our Australian dollar compared to American dollars is not very good at the moment. So the professional version's nearly $70 a month Australian. So it can be quite expensive here. That's why some people probably think twice. I keep paying for it because my business will pay for it. So I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I have never used the DM. I think my credits just keep accumulating. So I must have lots of them. So what would you use a DM for?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. It's actually 90 Australian dollars per month for LinkedIn Premium. Yeah.
No, it's
But if you times 10, that's your offer value, then I would say it's worth it because you have like 30 days worth of, all the features that could potentially do. And you get access to people that is stalking you. To me, it's like, that's like one of the most valuable piece, right? DMs. So would you like to know about like how to use DM for lead gen or tell me more?
What do people use it for?
I mean, there's so many different ways, but if I'm teaching like using LinkedIn for lead generation, I would say it's really to start a conversation, right? By the end of the day, it's having a conversation with your prospect, making sure both of you are a match to work together if you're a service-based entrepreneur. And if they find what you're offering would solve their ideal problems or give them the ideal scenario, then you just send them the sales page and that's how you convert. And that's how I did it for most of my digital courses. I don't even need to jump on a sales call at all to sign like a 3 to 4 figure deal using just LinkedIn. So I would say DMs are amazing. If you really take the time, build a relationship, nurture them, you'll be surprised. I know a few of my clients do done it for you service, which is a more agency style. They have been just absolutely killing it on LinkedIn because all you need is just maybe one recurring clients for 4 figure. That's already jumpstart cash flow for your business right there, right? If they're doing done for you services.
Okay. So I guess that's what I see sometimes when I get a message from somebody who I haven't linked with, because I'm learning to be very careful who I allow. So I don't have 500 followers because I run a marketing services company. I seem to get a lot of people saying, oh, we'll sell you SEO services and virtual services. So I get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say, well, they sound legitimate. So I let them in and then I get a spammy sort of thing and then I have to block them.
Yeah, I
really
did the same too. And I'm glad you take the action to block them, Nigel. That's good because that's how to clean up the quality of people on LinkedIn.
Well, I read a lot of books, so I reach out to the authors. Most of them will accept. Then I state very clearly, I am not going to sell you anything, but I might ask you on the podcast at some point.
I love that. And it's all about building relationship, and you did it. Right, yeah. And one thing about connection invitation, actually, there's 2 things, sorry. One is like, there's a lot of like bot that using other third-party tool, and if they just, like, for example, Nigel, you follow me and it's inviting you to connect, those are good. But if those are just like, just their name without follow you and is inviting you to connect, which means they're a bot, most of it. And it's not fair, right? You couldn't just like, you want to actually connect with someone you don't want to follow. It's like almost kind of like evil about that, like, yeah, I want to connect with you, but I don't follow you. So what's the point? So I think that is one of the really clear indicator whether those people are going to sell you or not. That's a good point. Secondly is whether they take the time to personalize the message. I always send personalized message, even though when someone is sending me a connection invite, I'll always say hi, right? Or vice versa. If you want to connect with Nigel, you want to like, hey, I dial into your amazing podcast. I listened to this episode. I really liked it. Of course, Nigel is going to accept rather than someone just want to like ask you to connect with you. So that's the beauty of using connection invitation wisely.
Yeah, no, that's what I do. I tell them, I listened to you on this podcast and it made me buy your book.
Nice.
The big pile of books I've yet to read. That drives me mad. Well, that's how I get most of my podcast guests too, because I've either read them or I've listened to them on a podcast and I think, I'd love to talk to you. Some won't talk to me because they're probably so busy.
Did you book most of your podcasts using LinkedIn too?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's where I ask them, and then I'll put in. So I've had some fabulous guests, and generally I really like to talk to smart people, who are doing interesting things and doing things out there. I guess it's quite strange, even though I run a marketing services company, I'm still not sure what my niche is yet. So I'm still learning as I go along. And that's why I put my articles on LinkedIn. So the Wednesday one is me thinking about stuff, for example, with AI, and we should talk about AI on LinkedIn as well, I suppose. How do we as consultants or professionals use AI to, extend our brains? So I write sort of that sort of stuff. I don't know who's interested in it.
Everyone is interested in it. Actually, in fact, one of the LinkedIn Learning team was asking me to create a LinkedIn Learning AI course specifically for B2B content marketing. So everyone is talking about it, and like trending topics or like news commentary is always working so freaking well on LinkedIn because the audience on LinkedIn love to read and consume information. They love to educate themselves. Never stop learning is one of the motto for most of the members on LinkedIn. So I think that is what just make LinkedIn so different. For people have way higher attention span to digest what you wanted to say and what you wanted to share.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, but when I look at the news feed, sometimes I feel it's just broadcasting to me, and I'm sort of thinking, oh yeah.
AI?
Oh, no, not the AI, but just the normal news feed. Sometimes, and I've even had a look at some of the groups and I'm thinking, oh no, they're just posting stuff. It's not two-way communication.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a bit guilty of that because I keep posting about the podcasts. I put up a picture and I say, well, here's her quotes, and that might be why you might want to listen to this or something. I'd probably do that. So what's a good way of posting just into the news feed?
Yeah, I actually have a 6-step system, but I'm going to like trim it down to something really small. But go back to the very first thing is like choose your content specialties wisely. So I did a LinkedIn Learning Nano course. It's completely for free. Anybody can basically Google my name. It's called Creating Inspiring Content for Uninspiring Days. And I walk through the 6-step, and it's less than 10 minutes because it's a nano learning. So you can like on the go, doing yoga, you're buying grocery, you can actually learn it. But first is to choose your content specialties. I cannot stress enough, which is a medium that you absolutely enjoy creating. Because as a creator, what you don't want to do is creating something as a chore, right? Like, oh, I feel exhausted. Like you light up every time when you're going on a podcast show, speaking with people because you enjoy creating those type of pieces of content. So always think about that. Next is content pillars, which I'm pretty sure everybody have talked about it so much. So I'm not going to go too full in details, but one thing I do want to say is imagine the people, if we're just talking about like gaining more audience, people just sticky, building raving fans, and eventually become a buying customers. I want you to think about more top of funnel content, things that people need to be educated about, not some really complicated stuff that people are like, what are you talking about, right? Educate. I think education content always works the best. So I would start there rather than like lead generation content, like right in front of your face, like buy from me. This is 3 ways to work with me. I have course 1, 2, 3. No, instead build that relationship with your audience so you are the go-to expert when it comes to that space. So that's why educational content works so well on LinkedIn. Second is actually engagement. A lot of people don't really understand that LinkedIn is a conversational two-way street platform to grow. And that I would say is the number one growth strategies on LinkedIn is to engage. But I'm not saying you should be engaging with everybody coming your way. Engage within your realm of industry. Like me, for instance, I'm teaching lead generation. I'm talking about content marketing. I'm talking about how you grow on social media. I will find the top industry leaders and engage on their posts and share my expertise. It's not like thumbs up, great post, bye. No, it doesn't add value to the other person. Why are you wasting your time doing it? Or just a thumbs up or emoji, that doesn't really put you alongside of that expert. What it should be better, we talk about AI, right? add value, ask great quality questions when it comes to AI. Then when people is like reading your comment, and that's the power of LinkedIn when it comes to newsfeed, is how you will grow your LinkedIn is the power of you engaging with other people. And that's how that other like second degree connection, third degree connection is going to discover you. So imagine that landing on their newsfeed. I was like, oh, this person know AI so much. He or she asked amazing question. Let me click on this person profile and read more. And that's going back to my first question. If you have an optimized LinkedIn profile, they take a look. They're like, this is exactly what I need, the solution I want. This is the expertise. Let's collaborate. Let's continue our conversation. Let's have a sales call together. And that's how you build on that using content.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Because that's the one thing I see all the time is somebody's clicked like, and I'm thinking, well, good. You're just being nice to that person. So there's no benefit for being liked in that feed, is there really? Unless somebody makes a comment.
Yeah, I would say content with more value on LinkedIn, but especially what conversation you're driving there, like in the comments box rather than great posts, because every comments that you post is on other people's newsfeed. Like imagine the secular 3 sort of site. How would I explain this? Like the more that you comment, the more that you're allowing yourself to touch the circle of the third degree connection. You're no longer just confided to grow within your first degree, but to your second, to your third. So the more that you create content as well as engage, that's the power of the formula right here.
Yes. So in other words, other people further out will see you. So if you've, say, got 500 followers or more, and some people have got lots and lots of followers, how do you keep in contact with them all? I mean, you can put a post in or something, but not all of them are going to see them. Should you reach out to some of them just to say hi?
Absolutely.
How would you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, so if new audiences that coming to you, I always say a welcome, hello, thank you so much for connecting, right? That's one way to warm up the conversation. The other, if you have been with another connection for a while, why not ask the questions or like not anything salesy, but just share a free resources or a podcast and say something like, hey, Nigel, I know you run a really successful marketing business. I saw this article. I see this amazing YouTube video. I think about you. I dropped the link. That's like something that I think will build instant connection and relationship. Oh, Salina thought about me. Okay, next time if I see another LinkedIn like lead generation tips, I will send it to her, how she can grow her business further. Let me connect with her with another person. And that's how you can build a relationship further.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. And the point there you've just made is how much time should we be spending on this? Because if this is where we're going to get work, see, I make a point when I write my Friday articles is, these are the things you should be doing in your business. You need to get revenue. You need to make or buy whatever you're going to do. So for example, you've got to create a course and you've got to write it and then you've got to market. So, how much time and how much money you're going to spend on marketing. So you've just hit it on the nail there. I say, look, if you're just starting out and you haven't got a lot of business, you've got to spend a lot of time marketing. So, okay, so tell me.
Yeah. Love that questions. But the first challenge I have for you is if you can book all your podcast show using this powerful platform on LinkedIn, why waste other time on growing other social media channel, right? Because that's already given you the result. So similarly to me, like booking podcast show, finding amazing quality guests, it's like basically closing deals on LinkedIn. You build a relationship. There's a mutual benefit between the both, right? One is offering a solution, you become a customer, but at the same time, there's an exchange behind it. So why not invest as much time you could to leverage this platform for free completely, not spend a single dime on ads? It's a earned media. It's a free traffic on LinkedIn to sign 4 to 5 figure using the power of LinkedIn. So you can spend as little as 15 minutes, which I teach my clients 15 minutes per day to grow or 30 minutes per day to up to 2 hours. It's fully up to you. And I have like a winning routine checklist in my program that I teach, but all the nuggets that I share today is within it, right? Like how to grow and get eyeballs, create and engage. That's the formula right there, right? Optimize your LinkedIn profile. Just by doing this, you can already see people inbound DMing you about your service. That's the power of LinkedIn. So you can go as little as 15 minutes per day to up to 1 or 2 hours, depending on how much you want to earn that month. Really.
No, I think that's what they've got to do. No, that's fantastic. No, I totally agree with you. I think professionals are probably underutilizing the power of LinkedIn, not realizing that's where the decision makers are.
Yeah.
Look, I post onto Facebook and Twitter, but I really get nothing from those ones. It's more just waving a flag, I suppose. But I think LinkedIn is where it's definitely worth doing.
If you ask me, it's true. There's so many shiny social media platforms like Threads right now, Twitter, rebrand themselves X. They always have new shiny object shining through us, and we want to do the new thing, but they don't realize this platform just give you a result. It might look boring, but it's incredibly efficient, very effective in driving leads, and actually kind of fun if you really get to know people. That's how I get to know you. And I think it's absolutely amazing.
I think you've hit it on the nail for us. Okay, so what do you think about AI and LinkedIn? I noticed LinkedIn's starting to add a bit of AI in to help you with your profile. What do you think about using AI to post? Have you noticed anything going on there?
Yeah. So AI have two big changes on LinkedIn. One is to help someone to basically create a great summary on their profile. So I definitely recommend because especially if you're I'm stuck at understanding what type of keyword I want to win on LinkedIn, LinkedIn AI would give you that idea and just to get started with. So I would do that. For content-wise, I personally really like to use two tools. One is ChatGPT. Obviously, it's just $20 US dollars per month. I actually secretly share with my husband, which is not cool, but you can do that, right? To help you to do better copywriting, things like that. So I would do that with that. And then to pair it with another better tool, which I think Notion AI is fantastic to write really great copy. So I will usually first started with ChatGPT and then move to Notion AI to clean those up. And if you're looking at most of my content, always remember that most of your people consuming your content may be on the go and digest it on mobile. So making sure your post is also optimized on your mobile when someone is consuming it, which means it should be line by line by line rather than a chunk of paragraph and then a chunk of paragraph, and then 10 hashtags. No, it should be line by line by line, hook people from stop to stroll, want to continue reading on, do a call to conversation or call to action, which everybody know what CTA is at the end of the post.
Yeah, no, that's very important. Again, because I look after a whole lot of websites, one of the things I map is whether people are looking at it on a mobile or on a desktop. So I find my more professional sites, they get a lot more desktop people, which means they're people at work looking at them. But the majority, for example, I'd look up a couple of medical clinics, it's mobile.
Good point.
One of them's we're giving them a free PDF and they're using mobiles. So it's probably why we're not getting a lot of downloads there.
Yeah, that's another long discussion when it comes to B2B growth. I mean, I'm totally against white paper and PDF. How many people are still consuming white paper right now? If you really want to drive leads, top of funnel stuff, you should just create something extremely valuable rather than a white paper for someone to do homework, right? And that's how I see B2B marketing while they're failing when they just use white paper as the number one strategy.
Yeah, and I think that's what's happening now is we're having to rethink because of people looking quickly at mobiles, how we actually produce content. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. Well, what else do we need to say? We've covered pretty much quite densely, gone into the power of LinkedIn. I had no idea it was so detailed, even though I've been using it and paying for the professional version for the last 2 or 3 years.
But I'm pretty sure, I think you have a really good idea how to use it. It's more time, right? I felt like most of the entrepreneur, if you are really religiously block out 20 minutes, no more 15 minutes per day, I can guarantee you can 10x your account just by listening to me and Nigel's podcast episode today. That's it, really, just 15 minutes.
Hearing what you've been saying, and I have been looking at your website, I think there's what we call a framework for doing this properly. And I think people need to learn how to do it. And I think it's worth paying. And that's one thing I'm finding now. You really should pay to get the expert advice because you haven't got enough time to learn this stuff. AI is not going to tell you how to do this because it's dated, but it will help you decide things. So I would strongly, from what I'm seeing from you, is expert help is worth paying for. And, it's not always cheap, but it is well worth, because people got to realize that, this is going to take a couple of years. If you get a head start now, you're going to be way ahead of the crowd in 2 years' time. And people have got to get revenue if they're going to work for themselves.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I'm looking at your course and I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty good. I think you can help them. What's the best way for them to contact you and find out more about you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, really. DM me, check out my free content on LinkedIn. I do run a free school group. It's a community. Imagine that's a Facebook group. I have free training there if you want to just get started. If you're not convinced to join our program yet, this is the best way to learn all things LinkedIn and start getting results. And when you do want to basically, jumpstart, skyrocket your LinkedIn growth, we are excited to support you in your LinkedIn journey.
Yep, fantastic. I'll put those in the show notes.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I I resonate so much with you about hiring for expert, because one of the things that resonate with me so much, I forgot who actually say it, so it's not mine, but you pay not for information, but you pay for implementation. And that's the most valuable thing, because information, you can get it on YouTube, right? We talk about the top of funnel type of content is just educational, but it doesn't really get you anywhere. Those are small wins. But if you want to get the whole system, like you said, the whole framework, when someone is working with you, very intimately with website, you really help them to build the whole customer journey. That's so different from a freebie YouTube video of 10 minutes, a podcast show of 1 hour, but you're really breaking down step-by-step framework, how to do it, how to achieve it in a way that is just really is efficient for their time. Save them time. Time is money by the end of the day. So pay for implementation, not information.
I think you're spot on there. And I think people would be mad. If they're a professional and they want to get moving, they would be mad not to talk to you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Salina.
To come to your podcast show. They would be mad not to come to your podcast. And tune into this podcast show if you love what Nigel is creating. He's inviting all the best guests. And I can see your show to be widely successful, super popular, and hit Spotify or Apple Podcasts really, really soon. Let's do this.
Okay. So thank you very much for talking to me. And I look forward to reading more and watching more about what you're up to.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'm looking forward to continuing to provide you with engaging and informative episodes to help you level up in your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you for joining me on the Wisepreneurs podcast.